fra D3 til 3. Helsinki, den går fra E9. Og så har jeg Bergen, det er så 5 minutter over 8. Den går fra B6. Gdansk, 5 minutter over 8. Den går fra E4.
Different days are for different things. Trying to do the same things the same way every day in every new place we visit is a recipe for muted, compartmentalized creativity. But what do I mean by that? When you push a place to behave like what you're used to, it doesn't always go well. Don't get me wrong, sometimes it does. That's what's deceiving about this topic. If you're a New York street photographer, you can probably go to Chicago or Philly and most likely snag some photos that you're happy with, doing exactly what you would normally do at home. When you're crossing country borders though, or flying across an ocean, you're gonna start losing some of those things in translation. I've experienced this so many times recently in my trips to Guatemala, Mexico, Montreal, British Columbia, and most recently in Copenhagen and Portugal too. Even in the US, some places force me to work differently. I think in a nutshell, it's just really important we don't forget the observational aspect of photography, especially street photography. We have to let the places we visit steer us. We have to avoid trying to cram a different environment into our existing worldview and way of doing things. Let's talk outside of photography for a minute. This is how you get these hordes of people who somehow go to Paris or whatever for a week in the summer, and then all they can talk about when they get back is how the caps don't come all the way off the water bottles and they don't have AC or ice water. You're telling me that those things are your takeaways after a week across the ocean, knee-deep in a different country with a different language and culture and different everything? I mean, I'm guilty of this too. I'm not some wizened traveler who's above drawing comparisons between places. I do that all the time, and it's only natural, it's only human to compare and contrast when we take in new information and new experiences. That's not at all what I'm criticizing, but it's so easy to lose the thread and the context and forget to be shaped by those new experiences. I truly don't know if there's any way to communicate this idea that ever won't sound painfully pretentious, but I also think it's an important disclaimer when I'm sitting here criticizing the way people behave. I know myself, I know my audience pretty well, and I'm talking to the photographers here, the ones who walk 100 kilometers in a trip and come back with 5,000 photos. So when I had 8 or so hours on a layover in Copenhagen a few weeks ago on my way to Lisbon, did I temper my expectations and accept my limited time frame for what it was and set myself up to just be in the moment? No, of course not. I had 2 cameras in my hand almost the whole time. I was shooting film, digital photos, and video, and I mean, the whole thing was great. It just feels like a fever dream looking back on it, and not just because I was coming off an overnight flight from New York. It's super fun to turn a long layover into a mini visit in a place like Copenhagen, but the one mistake I made was trying to smash everything into one day. I mean, we got this video out of it, I suppose, but the bigger takeaway for me is that I learned so much about letting different days be for different things. It's like something clicked for me finally. Too often we worry too much about what we're going to miss and not enough about what we won't. A trip like this is the perfect opportunity to rewire your brain. The people who know me personally are going to be laughing at the hypocrisy of me saying this in a video, but I'm out here learning too. Let yourself off the hook and don't create from a place of fear and anxiety. Try to take a deep breath and focus on what you can control. Make the most of new experiences by accepting them for what they are, and focus not just on the constraints that you're under, but also the novelty of the situation and what you can take away from it. There's always something to learn, whether you have a few hours or a few months to learn it. Thanks.